Welcome back. Welcome back to our third segment. And if you're joining us right now, we are getting into road safety for September celebrations. And joining us in studio, we have our traffic warden, our second traffic warden, Marlon Miranda. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having us, or having me here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, first of all, I want to give God thanks for the privilege to be here, right?
Yeah.
And of course, thanking our chief, our deputy chief and acting chief at this time, Mr. Williams, for the opportunity to represent the department.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. As we are getting into, yes, we're here to talk primarily about road safety for September celebrations, but I want to touch base on just road safety in general because, you know, as Paul and I were mentioning this weekend, we have had fatalities, not just this weekend, but I feel like almost every other day we're
You're hearing
reporting on a
about
traffic incident
yeah.
or somebody getting into some kind of accident on the highway or in the city. Let's talk about the efforts of the traffic department and how you all are able to liaise on these kinds of matters.
Well, first of all, we know that at the Department of Transport, as well with the police, we have effortlessly tried to deter bad practice and behavior. Whilst your question is, what are we doing or how are we trying to prevent these things? I must say before I answer the question that we cannot prevent any bad behavior because that is a choice.
Yeah.
If there is one thing I've learned during my tenure, not only as transport, but as an individual, is that there is only one thing God gave us, and it's free will. Right? And so, as much as we educate people, my mom used to always say this: my picnic, all of my picnic as far as I can see them. Right? And as much as drivers would give us a good impression, maybe at the offices, at the checkpoints, when they leave, that one different ball game. Right? So what are we doing as a department? We are currently engaging with the police department. We are engaging in road checks. Most frequent, most importantly also, we have our motor vehicle inspectors who have been tasked to check detailed and thoroughly the vehicles whilst going to license, because you know the problem is not solely on the road and traveling. The problem stems in the conditions of vehicles also.
Yeah.
Yes.
So more than just road checks, we want to try to educate the people. You know, one of the things that, this is one of the accomplishments that we are going to touch on as well, is the driver's manual. That's what we are going to call it now, that has been recently established. And of course, there's going to be a presentation of that I guess, sooner than later.
Okay.
But I think that the responsibility lies not only on the transport personnel, but mostly on the drivers. Right? I think that there are too many drivers who are not aware or are simply ignorant to most road rules. And rules are not bad. Just like how the public would look at us on the road, we are not the best friends of the public.
Yeah, of
When
course
they see
not.
we on the road, they're like,
Yeah.
okay, these people again.
Ready for your coming to your face, make up.
Yeah.
Well, no, tell me this time.
You're already angry.
Yeah.
They have the impression that, listen, we could get across these vehicle checks.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. I know that one. I could call that one. And the problem really stems not only at the bottom, but the problem stems all the way to the top,
Yeah.
where some could get away with certain things and the others can't get away with certain things. And my plea to all my co-workers along with the municipal traffic is that we go across the board, right? without fear or favor, because that has been a cancer, not only in the Department of Transport, but in every other
I
department.
agree with you.
Yeah.
So I might be pinpointed for what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
but we've got to lay the truth as it is.
No, I agree with
Right.
you
Yes,
100%.
yes.
And you made mention of rules, and we'll go back to that. But first, let me ask. You talked about the driver's manual.
Yes.
What is it exactly? Is it a Bible for drivers?
Well, we won't call it that for driving because initially, well, from I know myself, Creole would have said from King Hatchet was a hammer.
Yeah.
You only have the driving test,
The test,
right?
yes. And once you take that,
and then they have one paper for study,
okay.
whereby you memorize that, of course,
Yeah.
because they don't learn it.
Yeah.
It's like school.
Yeah.
You
it's
memorize just for pass,
just a pass.
and after that, I get my license and I'm good.
Uh-huh.
So now the department is diligently looking now how to deter this memorizing process and trying to not only have a manual, but trying to establish schools, like in the schools, trying
Yeah,
to
like a academy.
establish, right. And so teachers, of course, some teachers had been trained also.
Yeah.
And so that is with the Ministry of Education, they want to incorporate that in the school,
Okay.
in the curriculum, right? Because I'll say this, if you want to stand corrected on the road, have a child that has just been taught in school about safety. They want to remind
That
you
is
every
Tell you, you're
other.
not supposed
So
to do that.
true.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
Mommy, you just run a red light and a red means
Right,
stop.
right.
Or why you not have on your seat belt?
Yes.
We thought you're supposed to have on your
Correct.
seat belt.
Yes.
And so that is one of the ways. They say you want to get to parents, touch their kids.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
so that's the approach also that,
I like that.
yeah.
Now you said rules, and rules are important. And one of the main reasons why rules are important is to help us avoid getting into what can oftentimes be fatal accidents
Right.
on the highway, or causing a harm to yourself or to others, the injuries, etc. Let's talk about what a year it has been in terms of traffic accidents and traffic incidents, and what is the statistics showing about how this year is playing out?
I'm glad you asked the question with respect to fatalities we're going to talk about, because minor incidents, you have a
always
lot.
scary.
You
Yeah,
have a lot.
every day, right?
And so I'll take this opportunity also to say that the insurance gone up
Yeah.
sky high. We don't want to touch that, right?
Yeah.
But the claim is that everything gone up and a lot of incidents are taking place, so they rocket up the price,
Of
right?
course.
But with respect to the fatalities, I sectioned off some of it because
go
it is
ahead.
lengthy, but fatal incidents and its causes, we have out of 85 for the year, 25 were caused by drivers' negligence. That's the highest among a lot of diverse reasons. 10 were hit and run, and 19 were a total loss of control. So what we see spiraling is negligence. Negligence can happen in various forms. Negligence can vary from having a love conversation with your wife, and you just talk and bam,
You look
all of a
right,
sudden something just comes up. It comes with probably people like install these DVD things in their
Yes.
in their vehicles.
I know a lot of vehicles come with
it.
a
Yeah.
screen in the middle.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And these things, they say technology is going to take us a long way, but I beg to differ in a lot of cases. Because whilst it diminishes your thinking ability, it also is a great distraction.
It's awareness.
I have a question, right? So, what in the laws, in our traffic laws, right? We only have the one person is always at fault. right? But there's always going to be
Right.
somebody have to take the
Blame.
blame. But in some incidents, and I will say this very carefully, where you have the average village dog that comes out onto the highway and for sake of not wanting to hit the dog, you swerve, right? And other times the dog moves away and then come back like a suicidal dog.
Yeah.
Come back and then you again, right? So in these instances, and somebody always say, but you're still at fault. What happens then? How do the laws, how do our traffic laws try to assist these kinds of incidents?
Well, one of the things that I've recently noticed was signs being placed up with different animals and zones and so forth. And as much as we can't control that,
We need one for village dog.
we can't control the impulses of an animal because if we can't control humans,
Yeah,
much lesser animals. So my advice, one of the something will have to be sacrificed. And in my humble opinion, you could always buy one next dog.
yeah.
It might hold sentimental value, but you can't buy one life.
I agree with you.
Right. So I'd prefer hitting the dog as much as I don't want to, but I'd prefer that than to have to go and answer charges for a life.
It's almost like an ethical or a moral dilemma. Which
This.
decision should be made? And I agree with you. But you are going through the statistics, and I'd
Yes.
like for you to continue on that path. You said
Right.
that there was a percentage that had to do with negligence. Can
Right.
you continue?
Now, the incidents, the fatal incidents, and the vehicles, the type of vehicles that were involved, out of 128 incidents, I'm going to touch the highest percentage. Bicycles, 27 of them were involved.
Out of 128 incidents in terms of what type of incident? Fatal? or-
Fatal.
Fetal.
For the year?
Yes, for the year.
Okay.
These information, of course, were provided to us by the Belize Road Safety
Okay.
Management. Now, cars were 11, like normal
So
cars.
bicycles are more?
Oh yeah, and we'll touch on that as
Yeah.
well. Motorcycles were 27. That's another topic to itself.
Yeah, that's another topic too. So.
Heavy equipments, big trucks, we had 14, and SU vehicles we had 26.
Wow.
Wow. So in total, how many fatal traffic accidents has occurred from January to now?
An exact figure,
Or
I would be
estimate?
lying if I give you an exact figure, but an estimate, it would probably be, I wouldn't think more than 50.
Okay.
I wouldn't think it is
Okay.
up there like that.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
I won't. I won't.
But that's where I believe we are. I mean, I think as a country, people are not scared of the laws, but they are scared to die. And
Interesting.
whilst they are not afraid of the laws, they don't want to die. It's like they say everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want dead.
Yeah.
All right, so they go hand in hand. If I want to live, I must abide,
I don't know.
right? And the laws were given primarily by God, and if we follow them, we'll have long life.
I
I'd
like-
I did, no, but the time is running out, Paul, and I know
Yeah.
there's so much that I want to touch on, but I'm glad you laid these foundations out, because one of the things that we always try to touch here on the morning show when we're having big events, Easter, Christmas,
it's
New
safety
Year's,
tips.
are safety tips.
Right.
And now we're venturing off into September, where it's not just Carnival and the 21st, but we're looking at the September celebrations calendar, and there are various events happening throughout the entire month all
Right,
over the country,
September.
right? So I'm glad you laid the foundation so that people can understand that this is where we are right now, and this is where we're not trying to go.
be.
So for September, can you provide us with some of the safety tips that the traffic department
Okay,
is outlining?
Before I touch that, I just wanted to give a comparison with the fatalities
No?
between the sexes, male and female.
Okay. There you go.
I see your face changed, but in terms of sex, out of 103 what would you, or who would
What
you
type of guess
say?
would I hazard?
Yeah.
You are getting me in a trouble with April, so I just start keep quiet. I make April answer that one.
And say he's the expert. Man like be crazy, so I want to say that
That
men
true.
have the higher
That true.
incidence than women. But man like say that woman can't drive, so I want also not say nothing. And I'll let the expert tell me.
So out of 103 fatalities, 87 were male.
Wow.
And you can do the math for female, which is only 16. Right? So that speaks volumes in terms of where we want to go now with safety tips.
Yeah, and who should we target?
Right, in September. No,
Yeah.
so we as a department, there is basically limited information we can give the public that they don't already know. What we are asking is, more importantly, is don't drink and drive.
I hear that every
Right.
time.
I am a firm believer in abstinence. I won't advise anybody to take one or two, any at all. That's not even for drive, that's health.
I was just going to ask us, some
Right.
people say not even one. What if I just one? I can handle one.
And I want to share with you biblical perspective in terms of wine. Proverbs 21 says wine is a mocker. And it says beer is a brawler. Whosoever partakes in them is not wise.
Right.
So when I read this, what came to my mind was wine is a mocker. You know why that Bible verse says that? Because the alcohol concentration, if you take one beer and you blow, you're over the limit. So it mocks you. It makes you think I'm not bad. But
Yeah.
in reality, when you go to court, you lose.
Yeah.
So
Wine
it
is
mocks
more than
you.
enough,
It
yeah.
takes you. It take you make puppy shot and you
Interesting.
know. So what I'm saying here is drinking and driving, cut it out. You know, I know people want to celebrate and they want to be a part of society. That's what we call it. Because for the most part, man, I'll be honest. When I see people drink, I see them make up their face. So I say, what's the sense in this? You know. So, I mean, I really don't understand why.
Yeah.
I don't think that you need to drink to socialize,
No, you don't.
but the ability to think as a whole has been diminished. We think that we must have drinks to say what we want to or be happy, and that's not the case. You know, I think that we just lazy if we think and have decent conversations without having to have drinks.
Yeah.
You know, I'd prefer to eat. I want to eat, and when we belly full, we can't. There is a
You're
limit
happy
to that.
When your belly,
You
when
know.
your belly full, you're happy to.
And so, what are we doing now in September? We are coming together with the police department. We are strengthening right now with the police department to have joint operations. And that is what I want to mention, that during the month of September, we will be out. And we'll be out countrywide.
Yeah.
More than the regular. So I'm asking the public, let's be friends. Right? And if we're enough friends, September we'll definitely be friends because we're going to be out every day.
Meet and greet.
Yeah, we're going to be meeting and greeting, you know. Safety tips. Check your vehicle. You know, our dearest said that females can't drive. But I'm not stigmatic in terms of sexes and driving. I think that females, what I would do is teach females how to check vehicles. All right? Because whilst I do think that females are careful drivers, then just drive hard. Then drive hard, but the most fragile thing I know are females. So they're afraid to crash.
Yeah.
So females not to drive if they go crash. So let us be proactive in teaching our females now how to check vehicles. How can I check my water? How can I check my oil? You know, how can I check tires? How can I check my brakes lights? You know, teach them how to reverse. You know, these are tips that we can take and go a long way.
Yeah.
Because females are more detailed than males. That is the truth.
Yeah.
So if we teach females this, I think we're going to be avoiding a lot of mishaps on the road. Not only that, but we also need to check our seat belts. You know, a lot of seat belts are just in a vehicle for style.
Yeah.
This is a sad comparison, but I'll make it. Seat belts are like Bibles in homes. They're full of dust. And it's the same with the seat belt. What is to give us life we don't like to use? And that is a new legislation also that I wanted to touch on about the cabinet has approved the usage of seat belts. It's not only driver and passenger now, but it has been approved that all passengers must use seat belt.
Wonderful.
Not only on highways, but on all roads now. So that is a accomplishment by the department as well. No? And also there is a new legislation with respect to electronic devices. Belize for too long has been neglected in terms of enforcing driving and texting. We always hear it, don't drive and don't text. But what is there to hold people accountable? You know, so there has been a new legislation. The AG has everything, and when that is finalized, it is going to be revealed to the public. But of course, we'll have public awareness as well.
Yeah, of course.
Educating the people. What we are trying to encourage is drivers to have assistive devices. You know, have your headphone, Bluetooth headsets, and so forth. No? So that is a new legislation. And speed guns, a topic, a very controversial.
Continues to take place.
Yeah, but that is one of the accomplishments that I wanted to touch on, because it has been approved by cabinet now that the previous ones that we had, they weren't admissible. And so cabinet has approved, and the name now is TrueCam. And so now it is going to be used and implemented. And we're hoping that we have the support, not because we don't want to have encounters, but because you can save lives, you can save your own. All right. There is a ongoing, what you call it, like a trial, but mostly in the Belmopan, Cayo area, where it is currently being tested.
Okay.
And so some refreshers are being prepared by Mr. Williams, so that officers can familiarize themselves more with it. And of course, we have our the department's prosecutor. That is another accomplishment. So we are serious about having people in full compliance of the law. So we are now you know, just get one ticket and say, well, nobody do me nothing, and no, it doesn't work like that now. So we have a prosecutor that is actually diligently getting his task and his job done. So many people have been taken and are being taken to court for the malpractices that they.
Wow.
Mr. Miranda, well, we had to thank you for coming on set. I love your expressiveness.
I think we
I
need
love
we need you to come back and
the
have
way
another
you're able
discussion.
to just break down these concepts and these topics for us to completely understand and appreciate road safety. Unfortunately, we're completely out of time.
Okay.
And so that's the extent of this conversation for this morning. But once again, thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining
too.
us.
Paul, we got to take the break, and
then
we'll be
we'll
back
be
for a
back
wrap up. Stay with us.